You got to put in the work to know you're good, which will make you confident, which will lead to your willingness to take the chance. And if you find yourself with an opportunity and you think you're not ready, you don't pass on it, you get ready. You do the best you can do. And if it goes poorly, what do you have to lose?
You're listening to Angel and the Advocate, a podcast with licensed contractor Angel Chavez and California licensed attorney and advocate Amir Afsar.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Advocate and the Advocate podcast today, as I'm going to take over and talk a lot about what I think Angel needs to do to step up the advice that goes down in his own podcast. But really, it's Angel the Advocate. How you doing, Angel?
Doing good, man. We wanted to do this podcast, but I feel like it's a bi-weekly podcast at this point. There's always something that comes up. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm the busy one or you're the busy one, but yeah, I mean, we haven't been keeping up. But we should step it up instead of just giving in to maybe that's what this actual podcast is about. Instead of giving into the fact that it seems easy to do it every 2 weeks when we want to do it every week, we should be stepping it up to do it every week.
We should do it twice a week. We should do a live stream.
Well, whose fault is this? Is this my fault? I'm here.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's your fault.
It's my fault. So, yeah, I'll take
you got that? Everybody get that? It's his fault. All right. No. I mean, I've been watching, like always, I watch your content. You know that. Actually saw some good content from my man Brian over there. Not going to lie, since I give him a hard time most of the time. I got to say he put out a good video the other day. But I saw you had on a couple of different people with like a business background. I know we got the Everbloom Coffee guys. You had the DJ, a couple of different people that were up there. And, obviously as an attorney, I come from a much different position, a much different point of view. And so I just wanted to use this podcast, not so much to talk about those people specifically, quite frankly, because I honestly believe they're all doing their best and I wish them all nothing but luck. Don't get me wrong. But I think some of your viewers, maybe I'm not giving out like my own secrets to success in here as much as I think you maybe want me to.
Yeah.
And a lot of those things really boil down to some simple concepts and ideas, at least what I think are simple concepts and ideas. Now, again, I told you I'll do a lot of the talking today. Don't get me wrong. But like, I'm talking about things like hard work. I'm talking about things like believing in yourself. I'm talking about things like taking a chance. I mean, I don't believe these things are rocket science or impossibilities, but I have to confess one thing right away. I have a sister. I just came back from visiting her in Minnesota, and she's a school teacher. Her husband works for a big company. I tell them all the time, hey, if you don't like what you're doing, just start something else, open another shop, move wherever you want to go. But they look at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that is sort of the reality that set in for me, was that maybe I don't have that fear of the entrepreneurship leap of faith that many people out there have. And that's what I really wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about how you have nothing to lose. You think you have a lot to lose, but you got nothing to lose. I see Brian looked up at me right there, right? You got nothing to lose. You got nothing to lose. I'm going to say it one more time. You have nothing to lose. I mean, I like to use Vegas. You know I love Vegas. When you lose $100, you tell nobody. When you win $100, you tell everybody. The same thing exists in business. And so I guess what I want to start with is, number one, having confidence. You got to have confidence. So if you're my tile guy across the table from me, if you're the coffee guys, the DJ, if you're anybody out there, the number one thing is being confident in what you do. If you don't think you have a better mousetrap, if you don't think you have a better whatever it is that you make, then you probably shouldn't be launching your business. Because if you don't think it's better than what's out there, then why don't you just go buy whatever the best thing is and stay in your lane, right? You should be producing something better. So like, I'll give you an example. Every week you see me in, this podcast kind of wearing t-shirts. A lot of times I'm in jeans, you might not be able to see my pants. Most lawyers, shirts, ties, slacks every day. Do I get paid to wear a shirt and a tie and slacks? Does anybody care if I'm on the other end of a phone in a tie as opposed to in a t-shirt? Now, I know sort of traditionally people will say yes. And when I go to court, of course, I wear the appropriate attire for the place I'm at. But nobody's paying for me to wear a specific outfit. They're paying for the information. They're paying for the legal knowledge. They're paying for how I can solve their problems. And, I can solve those problems in some fancy dress shoes or in some Yeezys. And I prefer to be in the Yeezys.
All day.
Right? And so what is my better mousetrap? What is my law firm? How is it a little bit different? Well, we break down the formalities. We don't require everybody to be so stiff and proper, right? And that's how I treat my clients. That's not how I treat their cases. That's how I treat the people. The cases are very serious and I give them the adequate amount of seriousness that's required. But how I act and how I treat the clientele might be a little less formal than maybe the law firm down the street. Some people won't like that. Fine. Some people will. Even better, right? And so you have to be confident in your own self. I just use that as an easy example to launch your business. If you don't believe in yourself, who else will believe in you, right? Like think about your own tile business. You think there's a lot of tile people that do better tile jobs than you locally? I mean, there might be some, but do you think you stink at it?
No.
Do you think people are foolish to hire you?
No.
Do you think if they hired you, you're going to do a terrible job?
No.
That's the first step to being in the right track. Now, what's interesting is everybody says that in a vacuum. When you're alone, when you're talking to me on a podcast, it's easy to be like, yeah, I'm confident. When someone brings you that job and it's like a $10,000 one shower, can you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to bring you a $70,000 7 showers. Can you do that?
Yeah.
It's the same thing, just 7 times more. So now if I bring you the Taj Mahal, can you tile that?
Yeah.
Of course you can. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Your confidence level shouldn't shrink based on the project that you're doing. You either have a better mousetrap or you don't. Like, I think I'm a damn good lawyer for the guy that needs just a phone call consultation all the way to when we're going to court. It doesn't change if you have a $5 million home in dispute or a $500,000 home in dispute. It doesn't change. I'm still providing my top-notch, at least what I think of as top-notch legal services to all the clients. And so I think it's important to get out there that you got to be confident, almost cocky, but you got to be confident in what you're doing. Obviously, if you don't believe in yourself, you're never going to convince anybody to believe in you, right? So I think that's the first thing, right? So now once you have that confidence, what do you do with it, right? And what you do with it is you take chances. You can't be afraid to like go outside of your comfort zone. You can't be afraid to work with people you've never worked with before. How will you grow your business if all you do is the same thing over and over again? Now, don't get me wrong. If you're a cake maker, and I'm not telling you to go make, steaks, all right? maybe you could be a chef. Maybe it's possible. But like, if your specialty is cakes, then don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you go make steaks, go make birria, as I talked about last time, right? But what I am saying is don't be afraid to make cupcakes. Don't be afraid to make small cakes. Don't be afraid to make wedding cakes, right? Birthday cakes. What if someone says they want a funeral cake with all chocolate, dark colors? Yeah, do it. It's still a cake. But a lot of times I see people, especially locally, they almost feel like they have to stay so specifically in their lane. Like, I make wedding cakes. Okay, so can you make me a birthday cake? Well, why not? It's just a cake, right? And so what I'm trying to say is if you have that confidence, real confidence, not fake confidence, you heard me kind of say almost cockiness, right?
Yeah.
If you have that level of confidence, then you're not afraid. You're like, oh, you want me to bake you something? I can bake you anything. And that's the level that you need to be successful. Like, I truly believe that if you don't have that level of confidence and that willingness to take a chance because you believe in yourself, well, then you're already limiting how much growth and success you can have. All right. So like, take what I've just said and think about people you talk to, right? Is that something you see? Is that something like in your experience with these people, not just on your podcast, but even other business owners that you deal with or even businesses that maybe you go to? What kind of thing do you see out there?
Yeah, I see people they don't go 100% all in. I definitely see that when it comes to different stuff, like just businesses or in the arts, like music and stuff. Like I see the people that I see actually making an impact, and an impact could be small. I'm not saying they're performing at huge festivals or whatever, but it's the people that really believe in their music. They believe in their lyrics. I see business owners who they go all in, and they're literally because they keep investing into that business because they know that they're either the best one or they know that they could do the same job that the best one can, because again, being the best, a little bit subjective, but I know the ones that have the confidence that could do it. And then there's some that they're kind of they're doing it, but they're a little bit scared or they don't want to be judged or,
So you said two things there I want to touch on. Number one, you said they might be playing not a big festival or something. Okay, so there's only, I think that's getting crazy with how many festivals there are starting to be now. It's starting to go nuts. But until a little while ago, there weren't that many festivals. How many artists are playing multiple festivals? There's not that many artists in general playing festivals. There are big name artists playing festivals, but there are tons of people singing in restaurants in your neighborhood, right? Not just here, wherever you're watching this or listening to this podcast. There are people performing in restaurants near you. There are people performing in parks. There are people performing in subway stations. None of them are playing festivals.
Yeah.
Right. But that doesn't mean they shouldn't do what they're doing. That doesn't mean they're not making good money or providing, taking care of their act. I mean, we're talking about singing, like developing their own act, their own skill set, right? Every night you perform, you're getting better. Every case I work on, I'm getting better. Every tile job you do, you're getting better. And so the first thing I have to say is, people want to look at the top of the ladder and wonder like, well, I'm not there. Well, it's because you're looking at it now. Like, even me, myself, my law firm is like 14 years old. So it's not as scary for me to take the mic and talk about my own experiences or things I see in the business world. But when I first started my law firm, would I have maybe jumped on this microphone? Probably not.
Yeah.
Right? Probably not. And so then the second thing that you mentioned was that people aren't giving 100%. So I want to ask you, if they're not giving 100%, what percentage do you think they're giving? Just give me I know you don't know, but ballpark it.
Like 60%.
60%.
70%.
Okay, so that means, 70%. Let's call it 70. So if they're giving 70%, that means that's 30% they're not giving. Tell me, what do you think they're doing with that 30%?
Thinking about, I don't know, just how not to fail.
How not to fail.
Yeah.
Okay, so think about anything that you do. Think about like a little kid. I love this example. Think about a little kid riding a bicycle, right? When a little kid gets on a bicycle, they don't say like, don't let me fall down. Don't let me get hurt. They never say those things. You know what they say? They're like, I'm going to ride this bike. I can't wait to ride this bike. Get the training wheels off, right? And so then you give that kid the push and they kind of ride the bike and then they tip over and they fall down, right? They might cry. They might hurt themselves. But what happens?
They get back up.
They get back up and they ride that thing. And what I'm talking about is when you're a child, you're not worried about the failure. You're worried about the success. You're thinking like, if I can't ride this bike, I'm never going to leave this driveway.
Yeah.
All my friends ride bikes. I need to be able to ride this bike with my friends. You're not thinking about, if I get on this bike, I'm going to fall and scrape my knee. If I get on this bike, I'm going to fall and hurt my elbow. You don't think about those things when you're a child. And you need to take that confidence that you have as a kid, because it's not really confidence, it's just a need, a desire. Take that same need and desire and put it into your business. That 30% that you're not putting into it, it's not that you're just not putting it into it. You're actually holding it back from it. You're holding yourself back from your own success. You have 10 chances. Let's say each chance is worth 10%, and you're only using 7 of them. You got 10 moves on the chess table, and you're only using 7 of them. You got 10 gallons of gas in the gas tank. You're using 7, and you're saying, I'm out of gas. This is as far as I can go, right? So it's not just that you're not putting it into your business. You're actively holding yourself back. You're actively keeping yourself from being the best that you can be because you're afraid. And there's no explanation for why you are afraid. Listen, if you're afraid, stay in the job that you have. I get it. There's a place for people that work. Don't get me wrong. Not everybody has to be an entrepreneur. We've kind of talked about this with the Kanye West and how he wants to launch his own music player and everybody can't. All right. So don't get me wrong. It's not for everybody. But what I see are a lot of people, especially the young ones. I mean, I'm getting a little gray in the top. I don't like to admit it, right? But some of the people that I see, not just on your podcast, but in your sphere of influence, right? I don't think they give 100%. I think they give it 100%, but I don't think they are. I think they're a little bit, if not more than a little bit, afraid. And what I want to do today, a big part of what I want to do today is say, you have nothing to be afraid of. You have nothing to be afraid of. When you fail, you will get back up and ride that bicycle, right? And it might hurt, right? Some financial pain if you fail, no doubt, right? Just like it hurts when you scrape your elbow when you fall off that bike. But if you can get up, if you can get back on it, you have the best chance of reaching your destination by continuing to get back on it. You have the best chance of riding that bicycle if you give it not just 100%, but 110%, right? When you're giving 70, it's not so much that you're giving 70, you're actually having 30 work against you. So you're like giving 40. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're putting in 70, but then you're taking out at 30. And I think that 30 works against you, right? And so again, it's about having confidence and a willingness to take the chance and then believing in yourself and pushing and not accepting excuses. So people a lot of times say, like my man Brian, I don't want to make an excuse. The phrase, I don't want to make an excuse, that's an excuse. That in and of itself is an excuse. Instead of saying, I don't want to make an excuse, just chalk it up and say, well, next time I'm going to do it the right way, right? We kind of joked around about Brian being late. I know you're the punching bag sometimes, Brian, I'm sorry. But I'm not really sorry. But if you don't like being the punching bag, you're going to show up on time, right? And that's what I'm trying to say. And I'm just beating him up a little bit. If you want to get to wherever it is you think you need to go, you got to try full force. because you think your 70% will get you there until somebody with 80% shows up. Someone with 90% shows up. And I even think those people are not enough. I want 100. I want 110. Like I tell people all the time, don't look at the people around you. When you want to ride a bicycle, you got to learn how to balance yourself and pedal yourself and steer yourself, lean in the turns, right? Watching the kid next door who knows or doesn't know how to ride a bicycle or is better or worse at you than riding a bicycle is not going to help you ride a bicycle. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
We are each in and on our own journeys. So just because, and I'm not going to lie, I had the privilege of watching a physician, my mother, and I could learn from her. I had someone set the example for me. It is a massive head start to have that example. I will never say anything other than that. A massive head start to see my mom working, and then also seeing the rewards that come from that work. My mom being a doctor when I think she was like one of 4 women in her medical school class, right? So she had an uphill battle, right? And then even when she made it as a doctor, people thought she was a nurse. When she got a bunch of patients in the hospital, the other male doctors got mad, right? So she's had an uphill climb the whole way. I can tell you honestly, I can't imagine a world where she's given 70%. If she's given 70%, maybe she's just a nurse instead of a doctor. No offense to the nurses. I mean, that's a big job too. I'm just saying, if your goal is to be a doctor, I got a feeling you got to give 100%. If your goal is to be a lawyer, I can promise you got to give 100% because that's how I got here, right? But the truth is, it's not about doctors, lawyers, and accountants. It's about everybody. If you want to sell tile like my guy Angel here, you got to give 100%. If you want to be the best, you got to do jobs. And nothing's going to be perfect. But that's where the mixture of confidence and a willingness to bet on yourself, the chance, come together so that you take those leaps of faith, that you try, that you bet on yourself. Because opportunity doesn't come every day. Not every day a new client walks through that door, right? I got to be ready when they show up. And kind of easy phrase, you stay ready, you don't have to get ready kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with your business. If you believe in yourself, chances are, or I should say, let me start back. If you put in the work, then it's more likely that you'll believe in yourself. And if you put in the work and believe in yourself, it's more likely that you'll take the chance. So when you look at your friend's test and get the right answers, you're only cheating yourself, right? You hear that phrase? It's because you're not putting in the work. The foundation upon which everything will be built is faulty. It's got cracks in it. It's got the guy next to me's homework in it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm saying you got to put in the work to know you're good, which will make you confident, which will lead to your willingness to take the chance. And if you find yourself with an opportunity and you think you're not ready, you don't pass on it, you get ready. You do the best you can do. And if it goes poorly, what do you have to lose? Because if it goes great, you have a lot to gain. A lot to gain. High reward, low risk. But a lot of people, because they're afraid, they think it's high risk and low reward. But I'll tell you something right now. You're never going to make it. You're never going to grow. You're never going to develop further without having those 3 prongs and taking that chance, right? I've had many clients walk through the door here who I thought, man, what are they doing here? But I don't tell them that.
Yeah.
I don't act that way, right? And I think that's what I'm trying to say. For the people who are just starting out, for the people who are just building up, work hard so that you are confident that you're good at what you're doing, and then it will make the risk not seem like a risk. When clients walk through the door today, it's not risky to come see me. It's probably one of the best things you can do, in my opinion, because I know I put in the work. I went to the classes. I did my own homework. I went to law school. I did the reading. I took the notes. I passed the bar exam for a shot. I know I could do it. From that work, I know I can do it is the confidence. The confidence comes from doing the work. And once you have those 2 things, game on. There's no 80%. There's no 70%. There's 100%. The reason I give Brian a hard time, I want to see 100%. I think he thinks he's given 100%. Yeah, I'm talking about you. I think you think you're giving 100%, and I think you're giving maybe 80, sometimes 70. I want to see you give 100, and not just in this or that, but in everything.
Could you give 100% in different things at the same time?
Yeah. You give 100% everything you do every single day. You think Michael Jordan wants to lose? Like if we brought a trash can in here and crumpled up pieces of paper and started shooting at it, you think Jordan wouldn't even? Yeah, you think Kobe and Jordan? Well, first of all, I bet if Jordan was here and you said Kobe, I think he'd be mad.
I would say Kobe.
Yeah, I would say Kobe too, and I think Jordan would be mad. Like, why aren't you saying Jordan? What do you mean Kobe, right? First of all. And then on top, because that's how sure he is he's the best. And then on top of it, you think he'd let you beat him? You think he would lay down? I mean, if you watch that whole series on the Bulls, right? I think he was even trying to beat the guy that like carried the bags at like whose quarters. I mean, it's that
competitive with everything.
Exactly. But that competitive with everything comes from one place. He thinks he's going to win. Why does he think he's going to win?
Because he's confident.
Because he's confident. And what exactly? It all it's a ladder. Okay. It's a ladder. People want a shortcut to the top. They want to see like a successful law practice, fancy car, nice house. So yeah, of course, you could come see those things now. But where were you when nobody was here? This law office, it started with me and not a single client. I used to go to the courthouse when I didn't even have a case. Just act like a lawyer. Stand where I'm supposed to stand. So the other lawyers would see me. And maybe they would send me a case. Or maybe I'd hear something and learn something, right? I didn't have a single file when I opened this thing. I didn't know anybody in this town. I didn't go to high school here. My parents don't have a business here. My mom and dad aren't lawyers. I came here. I worked on my craft. I developed the skill by working hard. I built up my confidence. I launched my better mousetrap. 14 years later, people see the nice car, the nice office, whatever, and they think like, oh, it's a lawyer, just how it goes. No. I built this thing. And if tomorrow I got to move to San Francisco, I have very little fear that I couldn't build it there. If I had to move to San Jose, I could build it there. Santa Barbara, San Diego. I mean, obviously I'm keeping it in California because I'm a California licensed attorney. Yeah. But I think I could pass the Arizona bar exam because I passed the California one. And I could then do it in Phoenix or Scottsdale or wherever, right? And the same thing goes for all 50 states. Now, is that just crazy confidence? I mean, some of the people who don't know me might think it is. But there was a day when I didn't get into the college that I wanted to go to. Like my own personal hero, my own personal villain story, right? Yeah. I thought I was the man. I had really good grades. And the schools put out those lists of like, I know a lot of kids right now are actually getting into college and getting ready to make their college plans. So more power to every single one of those people. I wish you nothing but the best. But for me, out of high school, my grades met the requirements of the school I wanted to go to, right? I wanted to go to USC right out of high school. You needed like, I don't remember exactly, like a 3.2, I had a 3.3. Right? You needed whatever on the SAT. I just slightly higher than that. I was the pep rally guy. I was involved in things in the school. I thought I met all the requirements. I sent my application in. I wore my USC sweatshirt like every day of my senior year. And then I got waitlisted and rejected. I went to the University of Arizona. I walked around that campus, going to classes, realizing that this diploma would be on my wall forever. And I didn't want that diploma. That's not the diploma I wanted. I dropped out of school against my parents' wishes, against the wishes of every single person that I knew, that I asked. They all said, what are you, crazy? I dropped out. I went to Harbor College in Los Angeles for a year. I took a double load and I transferred into the school that I wanted to go to. I transferred into the school with the letters I wanted on my diploma. I transferred into USC. So when I go back to my high school reunion, everybody knows I went to USC because I wore USC sweatshirts my senior year. But they don't know that I didn't get in out of high school. They don't remember. Little to lose, a lot to gain. They don't know that I dropped out of college. I mean, you see me here today. I'm the advocate. I'm the lawyer. I'm supposed to be the one that brings this great information and knowledge. If you took a picture of me in 1997, I was a college dropout. But luckily for me, life's a movie and not a photo. So I was a college dropout for that year, but that's not where I am forever. And so I'm trying to take that, and explain it to other people so that they don't need to go and drop out. They don't need to go and have that bad experience, right? They need to just know that it comes from within. And if you want to end the story in a positive light, you better believe that when I got into USC, I took those classes very seriously because I knew I wanted to go to law school. And there wasn't any way in hell I was going to have another experience where law school was going to reject me, right? So I worked very hard. That's the beginning. I worked hard. I didn't even know about how it would affect the law firm 20 some odd years later. I just knew if I wanted to get into those law schools, I'm going to have to work hard. And so I did that work. And then I took the LSAT, right? The class, the test to get in, like the SAT, but for law school, and did all right on that, studied for that. I mean, it's the same kind of thing. Then when I got to law school, what do you think? You think I just took it easy? No, I studied even harder because it was another level. It's going to be even more difficult. And that's how everything is. They're building blocks. And hopefully as a baby, you first started with goo goo gaga in a crib. Maybe you sucked your thumb. Maybe you sucked your toes or whatever. You might have scratched your own face. Your parents put those little weird mittens on your hands so you wouldn't scratch yourself. Then at some point, you learned how to crawl. You were crawling around and you thought like I could go anywhere. Now you can't talk as a crawling baby, so you can't tell people, but your actions show because you would just take off going to wherever you wanted. And then all of a sudden you realized, oh, if I go to this table, I can pull myself and stand up. And so you pulled yourself and you stood up. And then next thing you know, you started taking steps. And now you walk around, Angel, me, Brian, we walk around like it's no big deal. But at some point, we couldn't even find our own hand to suck our thumb. And now here we are all this time later. And I'm just telling you, if you could just close off your mind to the fear of failure, that you, as an entrepreneurial baby, you will learn to crawl by putting in the work and working on the muscles to make yourself crawl. And then you will learn to stand by putting in the work crawling to build those muscles. And then you will learn to walk. And next thing you know, you'll learn to run, right? Maybe you'll be a hurdler. Maybe you'll be a long jumper. Maybe you actually become great at that process. And those are the entrepreneurs. Those are the people I'm talking to. Just because you can walk as a baby doesn't mean you stop trying to run. You keep trying till you can do it. Just because you can ride a bike with training wheels, you don't stop there. You keep going till they take the training wheels off. So when you have your little business, if it isn't opened yet, you keep working till you get it there. Maybe it's just a dream right now. More power to you. You stick with that dream. When I was in law school, I used to not really care about on-campus interviews where everybody else got jobs because I knew I wanted to open my own law practice. My focus was already on, one day I'm opening my own law practice. I don't need to interview with these people. One day I'm gonna open my own thing. So what was my focus on? What kind of classes, what kind of things can I do to prepare myself for that? If lawyers wanted to or allowed me to intern, that was far more important than any kind of, interview or any kind of paid job. I needed to see it, right? And that's what I'm trying to say. So I don't care if you're a tile guy. I'm not talking to anybody specifically. I'm talking to everybody specifically. I don't care what it is you do. I don't care if you're a competing lawyer. I don't care if you're a singer. I don't care if you're a cook. I don't care if you're a waiter. It does not matter. You put in the work to be the best at it, and eventually that work will build your confidence. And with that confidence, you take those chances, and some of them won't work out, but some of them will. And those wins, that's what we're in this for. And so, like I said I was going to talk and do most of the talking.
Well, what about the people that don't know what they want to do? I know this is awesome for all the people that are running their own business or that have their passion, but what about all those people that you know how they say they haven't figured out what they wanted to do?
Do you have a favorite flavor of ice cream? Do you have a favorite Mexican dish? Do you have a favorite Italian dish? Do you have a favorite Chinese food?
Yeah.
How did you figure out? How did you figure out what's your favorite ice cream flavor, Angel?
Mine is what's it called? Like
it's called banana.
Rocky Road.
Oh, so it's banana? Is banana ice cream your favorite?
No.
How do you know that?
Because you tried different ones.
There you go. You try different ones. I thought when I was growing up, I thought I wanted to be a sports agent, right? Is one of the things I thought about before I became an attorney. Then I realized it's not really a great gig. Like there's kind of 4 very successful ones and 400 that are eating McDonald's in the airport. That's my own phrase, right? I have a friend who's doing it. He's giving it a shot. It doesn't look easy to me, that's for sure, but he's giving it a shot. I didn't love it enough, so I moved on to something else. Right? And so that's what I'm saying. Maybe you eat, plain chocolate for a while and you think this is the best ice cream flavor. And then someone gives you chocolate chip and you're like, duh, right? Next level.
Yeah.
And now that's your favorite. So, I think a lot of the gurus on the internet say try a lot of different things till you figure out what you like. And I think that's true. But I think people put pressure on themselves when it comes to their business. That's no different than what I just told you. If you can figure out what your favorite Mexican food dish is by trying a bunch of different things, and you can figure out what your favorite ice cream is by trying a bunch of different things, well, that's the answer. You keep trying things till you figure out what you like. And there's ways to shortcut this, right? If you don't like spicy food, you shouldn't start with spicy dishes. So if you don't like, let's say, public speaking, you should avoid being a host or a singer or on a podcast. Right? Yeah. But if you enjoy those things, then go that way. If you don't like fashion, then don't go into clothing or buying businesses or any type of thing like that. If you don't like sales or individual person to person, then don't go into those things, right? You kind of know what you do and don't like. What you have to figure out is what type of professions work in there. So for me, when I was in high school, I was generally one of those kids. When I went to parties, I would have a beer or two. Don't tell my mom and dad, but I wouldn't get drunk. Yeah. And the reason I wouldn't get drunk is I knew the cops were coming. And when the cops were coming, I thought I was pretty good at dealing with them. So that's why I would make myself I might have one, I might have two, but I'm going to keep myself sober, even if it's not my house. Because when the cops show up, I'm going to try to help get them to go away so the party can keep going on. Well, no one told me that's a good job for a lawyer, right? But think about it. I like
Did
to
that
kind
ever
of
work?
Yeah. Yes and no. But I like to, number one, I like to kind of take care of other people's problems. It's a good trait for a lawyer, right? It's a good trait for that situation, right? I don't really like to be out of control. I like control a little bit. My sister would be laughing if she heard this because she says I'm a control freak. So I like the control. So when you get drunk, you kind of lose your ability to control yourself. So that's probably not a good match for me either, right? But none of those things, nobody said, oh, here, check the box that says like, I don't get drunk at parties. And instead I'd rather talk to the cops and make sure that they go away and everything's okay. There is no check the box at the high school guidance counselor's office for that. And to be honest with you, the high school guidance counselor doesn't have the answers for you. The answers are all within yourself. But you have to find them, right? And so today, maybe I would be a better Tonight Show host than I would be a lawyer. And I don't know because I didn't roll the dice to try to be, the Jimmy Kimmel or the Jimmy Fallons of the world, right? And maybe I could be great at that. Who knows? But the skill set that I have that might work as a night show host or whatever is also a skill set that can work as an attorney. And so I put the two and two together. Remember, I hate math. I hate math. You do a lot of reading in law school. How much math do you think I did in law school?
Very little.
That's how you figure it out. What do you like? What do you avoid? And the things you avoid, continue to avoid them. You see what I mean? So it's obviously easier to follow the advice I'm giving today if you know what you want to do. I'm making that assumption that you know what you want. Because in reality, who I'm talking to, at least in my mind, are the people who are struggling or who are doing okay right now. If you're not doing amazing right now, you're probably going to be struggling pretty soon because it looks like, most of the economic prognosticators think we're coming up to like a little bit of a harder time coming up. So if you're not doing great in the great times, if you're just doing okay in the great times, then in the bad times, you're probably going to be doing a little bit worse too. You see what I mean? And so those are the people I'm kind of trying to talk to. But that being said, if you don't know what you want to do, the answers are still the same. The answers are still the same. Work hard, build confidence. It'll come out. You'll figure it out if you put in that work. When you notice yourself not wanting to do something, rule out all that stuff. And I mean, a lot of people are like, well, I don't like to do school at all. All right. Okay. So, we'd all like to drink pina coladas and sit on a beach somewhere, but unfortunately that job doesn't pay very well. Right. Yeah. So there's a little bit of reality that has to set in, but there's somewhere in that blend. I'm confident for everybody. There's somewhere in that blend where you can find something for you. And maybe for you, what it is I don't want to do my own thing. I like working for someone else. I like developing maybe an idea that already exists and making it better. Right. Maybe today you think you could build a great electric car. It's a little bit of a hard job to get into. So try to get a job at Tesla, right? Try to get a job at one of these other places that makes products that go into the Tesla or makes products that go into, every car company is making electric cars now. So any of them, right? But that's all you got to do. I have a very close friend of mine. From day one, he was cutting springs in his driveway, lowering all our cars, souping up our exhaust systems, putting systems in it. He was great at 210s in the trunk, right? The old days in the 90s, making other cars shake and stuff with the bass. What do you think he does today? You think he's an accountant? No, he works at West Coast Customs. He's still customizing cars. When that's your passion, it's your passion, right? And yeah, he could be selling copiers. Maybe he could be selling cars, right? But he found a niche. He likes to soup up cars. He liked to soup up cars when he was 15, when he was 16, when he was 17, right? All the way to 25. And then he took another job and he was kind of just living his life, right? Like everybody else, figured he had to move on. And at some point he was like, wait, why do I have to move on? He went back to souping up his own car. Then somebody saw that. And next thing you know, right? He's literally working at West Coast Customs. So that's all I'm trying to say is it's out there for you. It truly is out there for you, but no one's going to give it to you. You got to believe in yourself so that you have the confidence necessary to go get it. Yeah. Because you're going to have to go get it.
Thank you for listening to this Angel and the Advocate podcast. If you have any questions, submit them in the comments section below. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.